Khari, real quick, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
However many you need.
I'm just asking questions that need to be answered by somebody at some point, you feel me?
We're back. I'm Camille Jones, and this is the Always for the Culture podcast presented by Elements and sponsored by the United Way. Today's very special guest, we have Khari.
Hey.
Yeah. He's a rapper. You own your own music company, entertainment company. Let me correct that because it's not just about music. You're doing a lot of things, really.
It's
a lot of things.
It's a lot, but it's fun.
Yeah?
It's fun, for sure. It's fun work.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad you enjoy it. Has it always been your dream to be in the entertainment business?
No, It wasn't. It just was something that was kind of organic. In a sense, I was an athlete growing up. I played basketball. I thought I was going to the NBA. Then after the NBA dreams got shot down, I thought I was playing overseas. Then after those dreams got shot down, I was just kind of at a standstill. And music was always a part of my life, but I just never saw myself becoming like this, this artist that, promoting myself and making it a profession. It was just always something that I love to do, something that I always had a passion for. So everything else after that, like the entertainment company, all that happened organically through my love for the music. So, yeah.
Wow. So when did the love for music start? Like who introduced you to music or your influences?
Yeah. As early as I can remember, 5, 6 years old, between my father, my mom, and my grandfolks, playing oldies in the crib, like at their house.
Yeah.
We going over there every weekend for dinner, and they playing, on a record player, they playing a bunch of different old school records. So I'm hearing that. And then my pops, he a big hip hop head. So I was introduced to like early classics at a young age. And I was always in the studio too. My pops was like this pseudo manager in the hood for like all his homies. Like all of his homies rap. He never rapped, but he was like this manager. He would like tell people how this would sound. His ear was like out of this world, and it still is to this day. And he would just give people pointers. And I was in the studio with him doing that, until I picked up the pen and started doing it. He was like, oh, okay. Now he got on me about doing the music. So ever since then, I always just had like this innate ability to like create and, want to get in the studio.
Right.
And yeah, I just been hitting the ground running ever since.
Wow. So you were able to soak up that environment really early.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you had early encouragement too, which is kind of rare for a lot of people.
Man, that's a beautiful thing because, my parents were never like the type to be like, oh, you're gonna be a lawyer, a doctor, or this, you know what I'm saying? They always encouraged my creative outlets. And when I told them I wanted to start pursuing music, they was all for it. They was all behind me because they knew it was something I was passionate about. If it was something that I just picked up because I thought it was cool and I saw everyone else doing it, I know they probably would have had something to say about it. But because they knew I was doing it since I was 6, when it came time for me to be like, I really want to take it serious, they was all for it. And that's something you got to be grateful for. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
So when did you start writing? As a rapper?
Man, 5, 6.
Really?
I wrote my first rap at 5 or 6, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's
You
crazy.
still have it, like the paper?
Nah, I don't. It's gone. I don't know what happened to it, but I know like the lyrics was like, cause I was a Bow Wow and Warmio fan back then, so I tried to make a song like talking to like a girl, and it was like, you my baby, you my lady, you driving me crazy, you make me never lazy. Something like that, and it was like a solid 16 to my imaginary girlfriend.
Terrible concept.
You know what I mean? Terrible
Horrible
concept.
You should be ashamed.
Hey, I'm not ashamed though, because
you should be.
It was the foundation, it was the foundation.
Horrible foundation.
Some may call it horrible, you know what I mean? Some may say it's horrible.
That was the starting point.
Thank you, and I'm here now, right? I'm here now, and I never stopped. So, but yeah, the rap was trash, though. I'm not gonna lie. I got a lot better since then.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have, because that rhyme scheme
For
was
real.
like,
Real
you were
talk.
consistent.
Hey.
He is not letting go of that E sound.
Hey, in my defense, I had no beat. I wrote an acapella You feel me? So come on, man.
Camille dissing the rhyme scheme.
Yeah, she just tried to come for my rhyme scheme. I
know.
I heard her try to
Camille, what's
sneak
your
it
rhyme
in.
scheme?
I don't even. My
Camille.
rhyme scheme is weak. That's why I don't be writing no poetry that rhyme.
It's all good. I ain't tripping.
I'm not even gonna front.
I ain't
even
tripping.
gonna try
We here
to do
now.
it. Right.
That's crazy. You might have to diss her.
I'm a
In the
dance
song.
battler.
There we go. But speaking of hip hop, though, you said your dad was a hip hop head, so you learned or introduced to hip hop young. But like, what were some of those hip hop influences, or how has hip hop shaped you as a person and as an artist?
It shaped me in every. I think like hip hop is like more than just music to me. Like, and I think we all know that, right? We all know hip hop is like a culture. It is culture, and for me, that's what it is. It's like it's always been a part of my life. You know, from listening to Pac at a young age, to Nas, to Jay-Z, to digging to the underground, to like MF Doom and Crooked Eye and a bunch of artists that, you know, shaped me to who I am today, man. And now I'm at a point where I'm trying to influence others, you know, influence the next generation, influence, you know, the people around me to, you know, use hip hop as an outlet. It don't have to be you as an artist, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to be an artist to use hip hop, because I think hip hop is just, you know, a way of life, a way of thinking. It's a way of like expression in any art form, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's just like my purpose, I think, is to, you know, use hip hop as a tool to influence, you know what I mean? So
I like what you said about using hip hop as a tool. When you think of your career now, because you're doing really big things, you've had a lot of accomplishments just even now, and I'm sure you imagine yourself going even further. But what do you envision like your career looking like? Like, what are your hopes?
I just see it growing. You know, I set out starting out with this. Like, I told myself I always wanted to have creative control and the ability to do what I want, you know, in a sense of like not being bonded to certain standards by the industry. I always set out to do that. So we're doing it on a micro level right now in the city, and the goal now is just to, you know, do this in other cities and capture more fans. And if that looks like, you know, signing to a label, that's fine, but it has to make sense. But if it doesn't, then that's cool as well. We just want to touch as many people as we can around the world and spread the message, keep the message intact, you know, the message of, you know, influence and being the best version that we can be. That's the message we want to, you know, spread throughout the world. And however that looks, you know what I mean? However that looks. But I don't really have, I told myself I was going to stop setting like these goals and like, all right, by this time I want to have this many fans or this many listeners. So now I'm just going with the process and appreciating it. Every fan I get, that's another one that I'm, you know, that I'm bringing it to the family, bringing on this journey with me. So from there, we just gonna look up and it's gonna be like, well, we got a million people now. You know what I mean? So we want to be big. We want the world, but however we gotta go, that's how we gonna do it. Yeah. And
you said to spread the message, because your entertainment company is called Be the Best Records, right? Could you talk a little bit about how that started?
Yeah, everything was just like from my life, you know what I mean? My grandfather, he used to always say those words to me growing up, be the best. I played basketball growing up, so he would always say that. And when he passed away, it was like something like clicked in me. I'm like, all right, let's do these freestyles every Friday. So I would do a freestyle every Friday, and I call it Be the Best Freestyles. And I like printed up this like terrible merch. It was terrible. I had like Be the Best on there, but it was like making my brand visible. Well, I didn't even think of it as a brand at that point. It was just something that was just like that I wanted to do. Yeah. And then it grew into like this so-called brand. But I look at it more as a movement versus a brand. You know, we want everybody to be a part of this BTB movement. You know, and it just happened organically from there. You know, I started connecting with other people, reaching out to other people to, you know, join this movement, and from there it just blossomed.
Wow. Be the best. So it really is like a mantra that you
a manifestation, if you will. Yeah, affirmation.
For sure, yeah. And then in terms of growing that company, what have been some of the challenges or even just successes?
Man, challenges, it's, you know, when you managing a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts within like a company, you want it to be good. You had a passion for it. It's going to be, especially when you're working with other people, it's going to be like disagreements and disputes and arguments. And that's been a challenge, you know, working with a team, learning how to work with a team of people, and realizing, for me, what I had to realize, it started out as my vision, but once you bring people in, it becomes everyone's vision, and they take ownership of it too. And I had to learn, like, that's a good thing. Right. That's not like an obstacle. You know what I mean? When you bring people in, you want them to feel passionate, just as passionate about it as you do, to the point where y'all do argue and do disagree. You know what I mean? Because that means they care. Right. And that was one thing I had to learn, especially like as a leader and just as a, you know, as a visionary with everything that I'm trying to do. I had to learn that balance between, all right, how can I best serve people, but also how can I put us in a better position as well? So that's been like the major challenge, but the success of that is, from that comes, you know, opportunities and people taking ownership of it, like I said, and everybody working together, what their strengths are to bring this all together. So, you know, we saw a lot of success, man, just with people just knowing the BTB name now. I think it's become a underground type of movement in the city now that people, you know, are accustomed to it. So that's cool to see now, you know? Yeah.
Well, coming from the athletic background, you played basketball for so long. How did that experience translate in forming this company or like leading this company?
Oh, bro, like, well, I would say from a work ethic standpoint, it was easy because for me, I was the kid, like, cause I'm short. I'm 5'7", you know what I'm saying? So I had to always work harder than like a lot of basketball players on the court. And so like I always developed like that work ethic. I was getting up at 5 a.m. to, you know, do workouts, get shots up. So that just translated right into music. I do the same thing. I get up in the morning, work on music and do the same thing, you know. And for me, it's easier. I ain't got to run suicides. I ain't got to sprint. I ain't got to, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got to sweat.
Right.
I don't got to wake up with my knees hurting. Like all I got to do is rap and work on stuff and call people and reach out to people for opportunity. You know what I mean? It was stuff like that made me think like, you know, I can do this because I know I got the work ethic and I know I can influence others to have that same work ethic. I think that's one of my strengths to motivate. So yeah, it was seamless. I'm like, oh, bet. Right. What? This all I got to do? Let's get it. Let's hit the ground running. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Was it difficult though to have to sort of pivot your dream or your, you know what I mean? Because if you devote so much of your life to one thing and then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but like things start to like become very clear to you that it won't come to life. Like, what does that do to you?
I was depressed. I was depressed. I ain't gonna lie. Like, cause you got to think too. Like, I had just graduated college. I was a business major in college. So I really didn't have nothing lined up because I was focused on basketball, and like all my peers around me was like going off to college or going off to like do other stuff. They was going into their careers. Then I had other peers that was like still in the streets, like going to jail, dying, you know what I mean? And I was like kind of in between, like in this limbo period. So I was getting like these two different sides from, you know, my friends like on that side and my friends on this side. And I'm like, what am I gonna do next? Right. So I was kind of in this limbo period of like, I mean, looking back, it was depression, you know. I know people like to throw that word out a lot, but I mean, it was a minor, you know, like thing of anxiety and anxious about what's next for me. And for me, like that period was like, it was really a time of reflection for me. That's when I was like, all right, yeah, let's do this music thing. And I was, you you got that fear of judgment when you tell people like, oh, you gonna be this, right. You know what I'm saying? But I always been the person like, nah, I'm gonna do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So after I got over that, I was like, yeah, let's get it.
Did you ever create work inspired by those darker times?
100%. I think I haven't really been able to pin it well, my past work I haven't. People haven't heard me pen that yet, but the new work that I got, I am going back and touching on that period. So like the new stuff that I got coming, you know, is gonna address like that time period of my life in a sense, and it's really just scratching the surface. You know, I don't want to put everything out there right away because it's also like personal.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to, you know, work out the right way to express it and, you know, deliver the message. But yeah, like I plan on really fleshing it all out, you know, in a sense. But in my past work, I really haven't touched on that period of my life yet. And I'm excited. That's excited because, you know, that's more ways to express myself, you know, other than just like going on a beat and just rapping. You know, I know I can do that, just rapping and impress people with like wordplay and stuff like that. So now it's about, you know, getting more into like expression and vulnerability and all that stuff. So
I think that's a testament to your growth too, because it's easy to think that once we've like time's gone by, that you equate that to, oh, I've moved through this situation. But
I don't know why people think that, because it's like, yo, like you still, even though you may have got past that situation, you still processing it, like, and you may have gotten over it, but you still don't know how to like say it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a process. That's why I understand artistry in a deeper way now. When you go through things and like you want to express it now, it's like it's a process. You got to you got to give yourself time. You got to give yourself grace to like actually be able to have the wherewithal to actually put it on paper. Right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for sure.
The healing is, you never know how long it'll take you to heal.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, so I'm really glad you got the creative medium that's helping you with the processing.
And it's still a process. It's still a process for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you got that though.
Yeah.
But what would you say to artists really that may have gone through like a similar thing where they had to sort of like defer a dream, and maybe they haven't necessarily picked up a new one. Maybe they're still in that like limbo of trying to figure out what direction to take.
Ask yourself questions, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta ask yourself the right questions too. Like I always told myself, like I always wanted to do something that makes me happy, of course, but happiness changes over time, you know, so that can change as well. But something that makes me happy, that is of service to others, and that you can sustain for a long time. So if you could check those 3 boxes with whatever it is you want to do, you find your purpose with it, I think that's how you can work your way through like that limbo period. And like just asking yourself questions, you know, what is it that I want out of my life? You know, what is it that I want in the end? Like, what do I want to be? What my legacy gonna be? You know, and it don't have to be nothing crazy. If you want your legacy to be like, I don't know, making beats and selling them to kids, or selling them to getting it synced in movies, or if that's what you want, then that's what you need to figure out. Or if you want it to be like, I don't know, poetry, you know what I'm saying? Find your outlet for that and seek other people that's doing it. Seek other people in that position and ask them questions. You know what I'm saying? You got to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? To find what you're looking for. Yeah. I think questions, people don't ask enough questions. We don't ask ourselves enough questions. We don't talk to ourselves enough. Like I saw something on Instagram. It was like this dude, he was funny dude. I forget his name. He like a funny like influencer on Instagram. And he was like, people don't talk to themselves enough. And it shows like people just say anything to people and like don't even talk to themselves before they even say it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not crazy to talk to yourself. Like you need to look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Like, so I do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I be talking to myself all the time now, you know? And I think that's important, especially in that period like you was talking about, like that limbo period. Talk to yourself.
Do you think, because you mentioned that happiness can change, or I guess whatever you believe makes you happy can change. Do you think someone's purpose can change?
100%. 100% it could change. Like my purpose changed. I feel like I'm on my 3rd purpose. Like, you know, because at first, like it was like growing up, it was obviously basketball, and, you know, and that, I mean, that's not purpose. That's a goal. That's like more like what you want to be. But like, I think once I found my purpose, like when I got to the core of it, like, and it's not just, I don't think my purpose is just music. Right. You know what I'm saying? I can't just say, oh, it's just to be the biggest rapper in the world, which I know I can be. Yeah. But the purpose behind it is like, I want to be the biggest rapper in the world so I can influence the youth. Like I think my purpose is with the kids and the next generation, and I think everybody got their own like part. I think we all want to, like we all say we want to be like this change in the world and stuff, but like when everyone finds like that niche, like who are you gonna directly affect, you know what I'm saying, then that's when we all will be on the same page. And I feel like for me, my purpose is to directly affect Black youth, and that's what I want to with my music, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to influence the next generation coming up. So once I figured that out, it took me a while. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it, because I always had that. I always had that support, no matter where I was, like, no matter like in the crazy neighborhoods I grew up in, the crazy stuff I grew up around. I always had people, adults around me supporting me, and that's put me in the mind state where I am now. That put me to be able to accomplish the things I can accomplish now. So me being able to do that, that's my purpose. You know what I mean? That's how I figured it out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I need to do.
Beautiful. Do you think a part of that push to want to influence youth, Black youth, led you to teaching? Because you're a teacher.
Yeah, it did. Because I'm like, I hated school.
Yeah.
Like I was a average student. I never applied myself. I had undiagnosed ADD. Could not focus. You know what I mean? So I'm in class like, I was like the kid that talk in class, didn't pay attention, getting kicked out of class. So coming full circle now, when I realized like, yo, I can teach. And it was something like somebody told me, like I never in a million years was like, oh yeah, I'll be a teacher. It was like, I was working with, because I always love working with kids and coaching, basketball and stuff like that. So I was working in a school, and the principal at the school was like, you need to go back to school and, get your master's, go teach. I was like, what? Nah, I'm cool. Like, I ain't going back to school. I made a whole song about not going back to school. Like, I'm done. I scraped by with my bachelor's. You feel me? I'm done. I'm cool. It took me too long to get my bachelor's. It took me 5 years to get my bachelor's. I'm not going back. But she was like, nah, you got a gift, like, with these kids. Like, they connect with you, and they really, like, take to you. And I was like, oh. And it take people like that to, like, see something in you that you ain't even seeing yourself. So I was like, I'm really about to do this. I'm about to go back to school for another year. So I did it, and then it was, like, the best decision I ever made, because now I'm in a position where I can directly be in a classroom and influence and infuse hip-hop into my classroom and infuse, like, these ideologies of the culture, you know what I'm saying, to these kids. And that's when I figured out, like, yeah, this is something that can be bigger. Like, I'm using this teaching, what I'm learning from teaching, to apply to my music, and it's helping me with my music, helping me being more conscious of the things that I say, you know what I'm saying, and my effect, the effect that my words have, you know what I'm saying, the effect that your words have on people, especially kids. Because I see these kids, man, they got their favorite rappers, and music influences so much. If you listening to something a lot over and over again, that's going to directly affect your behavior. So I try to introduce them to, different things and different music, because that's all they missing is the exposure, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I say all that to answer that question.
I'm glad you said all that, because you really are right in front of the kids. Like, you are their direct influence. And for you to be cognizant of the importance of your influence in using that power to really help, not necessarily in a self-serving way, but trying to be selfless and show these kids, like, introduce them to new, like, forms of music or new artists. And I like that. And so what's like a class with Khari like?
Oh, it's lit. So hey, this week, man, we did, so we was working on writing summary. So I got 5th graders. I teach English and social studies for people that don't know. And we were working on paragraph writing a summary after reading an informational text. So you got to figure out what a main idea, you got to figure out the key details, and you got to have it properly structured, and all the way till you get to your conclusion sentence. I know this is like, taking people back. You feel me? So what I did was, we made a rap. We made a rap to so they could know the structure of a paragraph to write a summary. And we did it to Who Won't Smoke by Nardo Wick. So it's to that cadence. we did it. I brought my equipment in, my studio equipment in, and they recorded it on the mic. And then that was Thursday of this week. And then today, Friday, we shot a music video for it. So this whole week been like this whole immersed experience of writing a summary, but making a song out of the structure. So now they know it by heart. They singing this song. And they surprised me too. Like when I first introduced it to them at the beginning of the week, the song, they picked up on the song like that. And that shows you like the power of music and hip hop, because as soon as you put it in the song, they know everything. So now I'm asking them certain questions. They know, they start singing the song in their head. They be like, oh, key detail number 1 comes after main idea 1. And so now it's like, it's cool to see. And they really like, it's fun. They get in the booth. They was like hearing their voice back in the microphone. They like, this is weird. This is cool. So yeah, that was like this week. That's
you changing lives. They're gonna remember that. Like,
oh man, yeah, it's fun.
They're gonna take that with them.
Yeah,
that's dope. I love
Boo.
that.
I'm just playing.
Have they like listened to your music? Did they know some stuff? They got the internet, so
yeah, they done found me. I tried to like, I keep it away from them, but I don't tell them about it. Like I don't be in there like, yeah, y'all, my new single out, y'all, go run it. They found it on their own. You know what I'm saying? They searching because they looking at, they don't know my first name at first. They just know me as Mr. Burton.
Right.
And so, but they do their research. Kids is like, they do their research. And so they looking at my badge. They found my name. So then they Googling me. They like, oh, you was here. You was just performing. I saw you. I'm like, oh my goodness. So they coming back. They looking at my YouTube and it's wild. And they singing my song. They like, oh, Mr. Burton, you be cussing. But I'm like, listen to what I'm saying, though.
Right. There's
a message. You know what I'm saying? It's a message in there. But yeah, it's funny, man. And then the parents come up to me and the parents listen to my music too. It's like, cause the parents is like probably like 8 to 10 years older than me. So they in that, they in that realm of like, to the hip hop culture. So they listen to my music. I'm like, yo, what? This is crazy. Like, I ain't even tell them to do it. Like and that's like, but it showed me the power of like organic, like growing a fan base organically. Like, you know what I mean? When people just genuinely see you as, for them, they see me as their teacher. So as someone, I'm like, and a figure to them, you know what I mean? And it just show you like the power how your message can spread like organically. Right. You know what I mean? So they telling their parents, who knows, their parents might tell their friends and it might spread like that. But yeah, it's funny. They always come back and be like, oh yeah, I heard your new song, Mr. Burton, that was live. Or someone will be like, nah, your song was trash. Like you ain't better than Lil Durk. I'm like, man, I'll watch Lil Durk. But it's all good.
All these kids, they say the same stuff. But that is definitely like a great way to show how important it is to really cultivate your artistry where you are. Yeah. Like even you just being a teacher, and then the people in your community, like even the students, they're like tapping into what you're doing, and it's growing like wildfire. 100%. But speaking of that, how is living in Cincinnati like influencing your journey? Like what is it like for you being an artist here in Cincinnati trying to cultivate a music career?
It's interesting. It's a lot of different moving parts in the city. I know for me, growing up, in Cincinnati, you never get nothing. You always count it out. I think we always count it out in a sense. So we always got that mentality of like having to prove ourselves. And so we carry that chip on our shoulder everywhere we go. And I think that just made me go harder. But like, I just love like where we are musically though, right now in Cincinnati. And I think it was a time where people felt like there was not enough like light shown on Cincinnati artists. But now I feel like people are really starting to take notice, and it took work. Yeah. It took people actually getting out in the field and really putting our feet to the pavement. I'm talking like 4 years straight of this, you know what I'm saying? So it didn't happen overnight, and it's still not where it needs to be. But I feel like now people are really starting to take notice, and for me, it just makes me like happy just to see like more opportunities coming our way, more people coming out to shows and knowing when shows are like, I know it was a period of time where people didn't even know what was going on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like this collective like culture now, especially in the underground hip hop scene, man. It's beautiful to see. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful to see.
It really is. And I think of like I think about a lot of major cities that people tend to attach like music or art to when they think of like New York, or
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But from your perspective, what do you see like is like what are the special qualities of our Cincinnati art scene?
I think we so independent. We already know how to do it. So people coming in, they can't nobody come in here and tell us how to. I mean, we can always learn, but you can't come in here and orchestrate and think that you got to baby us and hand us something, because we
Right.
already know how to do it. We put on our own shows.
Yeah.
We got it out. We had to learn it ourselves, so we know how to do it now. We put on our own events. We know how to market ourselves. So it's like a bigger entity. It's only so much they can show us.
Yeah.
All we need is the money,
Right.
the capital,
Right.
and let us do what we do on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? So I think like for us, it's a point. We need to make a point of like staying true to like how we've built this, and once the capital comes here, then making it bigger, just increasing it. You know what I mean? So I think I think it's a important, like we in an important phase in Cincinnati, because it's like we've seen the success on a local level, and a lot of us have experienced it in
Right.
other cities, you know. So now it's just about, you know, building a music city to the point where it's like people know Cincinnati. You come to Cincinnati, you're gonna get some great independent artists that's doing it themselves. I think about like Master P and like those cats, like, because if you think about it, in that time, it was like New Orleans wasn't really like a household hip hop name before like No Limit and Cash Money.
Right.
They built it themselves. They put their feet to the pavement and made something of themselves. Now New Orleans is a city, like you could say,
Right.
like it's a lot of artists that came out of New Orleans and made a name for themselves. And I think that's the same thing that's happening here, even Chicago as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We seen it with Common coming out of there, and then from Common you get Twista, and then Kanye, and now the whole drill scene with all those cats, Dirk, G Herbo, all those guys did it themselves first. I think that's the key, and that's what we doing now.
Yeah.
Right. And speaking of that community, that influence and that grind, how do you think social media plays a part?
It's a major part. I think it just heightens everything. You know what I'm saying? It first starts off the internet. You know what I'm saying? It first starts off the internet, and then we just put the cameras on what we doing, and now it's like, oh, it's lit now. Like now when we connect with other people in other cities, we connect with them. We come back home. Now they seeing what we doing here.
Right.
Cause like I know for me coming back from my tour in Texas, I connected with so many artists there, and like I was telling them about our scene, and they like, for real, y'all do all that?
Right.
And it was surprising me. Like they was like, nah, we don't got no opportunities like that. We don't got free open mics and free opportunity. We gotta pay these promoters to
Right.
perform. I'm like, what? That's wild. I mean,
For real.
people do that here, but not a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Most of our stuff is like, you know, you can showcase what you got, and it's a community and a family behind you. So me telling them about that's sparking something for them.
Right.
And then they seeing my post when I'm back home. They seeing me post all the stuff that we doing here, and they like, yo, can we come up there and like do something? Like, yeah, that's what we
Right.
want. We want to bring people up here. You know what I'm saying? So social media can really like get other cities invested into what we doing and want to come mess with us and rock out with us. You know what I'm saying? So
Rate this rap real quick.
okay.
All right, look. Dapper Man, Rapper Man. No, I should say Dapper Dan. All right, check me
Ooh,
out.
okay.
Dapper
Gucci.
Dan, Rapper Man in the bucket hat. Spent dollars at McDonald's. The chicken nuggets slap. What you think
Oh,
about
I
that?
thought you was gonna keep going. You
No,
should
that
have
was
kept
it.
going with the chicken nugget, the
That
McDonald's
was it right
scheme.
there.
That's
You
all
see,
right.
you see the internal rhymes?
The
You see what
internal
we
rhyme
doing?
scheme is there.
Yes, sir.
I think your cadence is there. The lyrics can use a little bit of, you know.
Dapper Dan, Rapper Man in the bucket hat.
Ooh, I love the dapper rapper.
Spent dollars at McDonald's. The
Fire.
chicken nugget slap. Like domestic violence.
See, there we go. I wanted you to keep going with the scheme.
You see me?
I wanted you to keep going with the scheme. You feel me?
How difficult is it to navigate social media sometimes, for you at least?
I mean, it ain't too difficult for me. I just look at it as a tool. You know, I don't take it too seriously. But But sometimes I do forget to post, and it's like, oh, I do gotta post. I do gotta promote myself.
It becomes a chore.
Yeah, it becomes a chore. I don't stay on it too long. I do my thing. I do my 1-2. I like to joke on social media a lot, certain social medias.
Yeah.
So I do that a little bit, and then I get off. But I mean, it's not. I mean, for me, it's not too hard. I don't think of it too deep. You know what I mean? It's something. It's cool. You know what I mean? It's cool.
All right, cool. Well, you talked about a tour that you had. And how was that?
It was amazing, super amazing. Just being first of all, Texas is like super huge. Like, I went from Houston to Dallas to Austin, and just seeing how much they love music down there is dope. You know, you got a rich history in Houston, obviously, and Austin is like a college town. But Dallas, surprisingly, like, I connected with Dallas the most, just because I don't really know why, but it was just it was a dope thing just to see my music being able to, you know, translate into these different, you know, cultures and cities and stuff. Cause I look at myself like, you know, I always say I'm a Midwest dude. Like, you know, we a melting pot, but we got a certain, like, we rap a little faster. You know what I'm saying? We got a little more speed to our cadence. Down south it's a little slower. Like, they a little more like, you know, they sipping on a scissor and they real chopped up and screwed. But when I went down there on my, you know, my rap stuff, they was really like receptive to it. And I think it's just because they, you know, I try my best to articulate and really make sure my words are heard. And I think they connected to that. But outside of that, the biggest thing for me in tour it wasn't even performances. It was just like the connections I made and like the people I was able to, you know, connect with, from DJs to labels. It was just like that experience there. And most importantly, the artists. Like I said, like, I connected with artists so much to the point where we're starting like a collective to go to each other's cities and do shows in each other's cities.
Nice.
So we planning things for November for a couple of those artists to come up here to Cincinnati, and then from there we gonna go to their cities. We got it's an artist in Miami that I met, Atlanta, and then Dallas, and we're gonna go to each other's cities and just make it circulate. And my goal is to bring artists here in the city, you know, on tour, and we can do this whole, like, you know, gain fans, steal each other's fans. That's what we saying. Like, we gonna steal each other's fans, you know. So
I love that sense of collaboration and not looking at it so much as competition.
Oh, yeah, man. Like that, I don't get that. Like, I mean, obviously rap is like a competitive sport, but that's in the sense of like when you writing and when you like in your bag, like, you know, in that sense. But when it comes to opportunity, like, we got to share that opportunity because, one, you never know where a person might be in the next 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? And two, it just makes you better as a person. Like, I love like connecting people with somebody else. Like, I got this opportunity. I think it'll be major for you. And I think you might be better suited for it than me. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is not for you. You know what I'm saying? You can't have everything for you. You're going to get yourself in a position where you're not even ready for the opportunity because that's not you. Yeah. Why would I provide myself or still an opportunity and it's not even me? Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to find somebody who I know is great in that field and great in that niche. Like, find a great artist that's a singer or artist that does neo soul or artist that's a trap rapper. That's
Bluegrass.
For you. You know what I'm saying? All that, anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's important because it provides the connection. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, with that person. Because then, like I said, you never know who you may meet, who that person may become. You know what I'm saying? So collaboration is key. It's key. You know, that's how we make it shake. And I think that's part of our success here in the city. Right. Because we collaborate and because we provide opportunity for each other.
Absolutely.
Then how come we ain't never collaborated?
Come on, man. You say the word, bro.
Because I don't wear bucket hats?
You gotta wear a bucket hat to
seriously,
no, seriousness though, no, real talk.
I was just playing, but 100%. I appreciate that. I'm definitely gonna get the collab in.
Yeah, let's do it. Even if it's like, you know, coming out to a show and we, you know, rocking out. Sure. You know what I'm saying? And you hopping on the set doing your 1-2.
For sure. You want some candy?
Yeah. Toss that, John. Oh, look at them hands. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
sir. I see you.
See that?
That's crazy
Right,
too.
right.
That's the best flavor. My bad, Camille. I ain't give you one.
No, it's yeah.
You just gonna put that in the
I
fanny
didn't
pack and
even
save that for
offer,
later.
But okay.
I respect that.
But speaking of that, the collaboration and your push to be like to be mindful of like not every opportunity is for me, the right one for me.
Yeah.
How do you avoid like inflating one's ego in an industry that sort of is, you know, contingent upon like popularity.
We all got egos as artists.
Yeah.
So you saying from like the standpoint of like providing that opportunity to that person,
'cause
like
you seem mindful of being like you have a good like calibrator, like to be like, no, this isn't for me. Like just being like, I know I'm doing really well right now, and I could be selfish and be like, no, everything is for me, but I know how to reset myself and be like, let me bring somebody else on for this.
Right. And I think that just comes with like experience. You know, it was times where I tried to overextend myself or gave somebody an opportunity that didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? And it just comes with wisdom. I mean, that wisdom comes from the experience of doing it. And I'm still learning that balance. But I think just, you know, using your discernment and like, yo, I feel like this is for this person, you know? I hope. And just going from there, we just figure it out. Honestly, we all winging it.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, we all just winging this whole path.
Right.
I know at least I am. I don't got everything changes. Like it changed from day to day, you know, about how to go about this, you know. So you just gotta be adjustable. You gotta be like water out here, like Bruce Lee. You feel me? You gotta be just like that. You gotta adapt. So yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. And that just shows how humble you are. You walk with humility, which I think is just why you've been so successful.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khari. I appreciate you for coming
Hey,
on.
I appreciate you for having me. I'm glad I got to
absolutely.
do this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I love elements, man. I love elements, you know.
Get that on camera.
Yeah.
That's
I love elements. I love y'all. I love y'all. For real.
Thank you so much. Seriously, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap. Always for the
Almost.
culture.
Give us your top 5 rappers, and then Camille, you gotta rap the outro.
Okay.
Rap us out.
Top 5 rappers
Go.
of all time?
It could be top 5 worst, top 5 favorites, or who you are.
I can't do worse. I could do
top 5
favorite.
worst, top 5
I can give you my
or
top 5.
favorites.
I could definitely give you my top 5 rappers.
Okay.
Jay-Z is the GOAT.
Hova.
100%. He's the
B.
GOAT. Nas.
I don't sleep because sleep is the cousin of death.
Yes.
Hard.
This is where it gets tricky. It changes. 3, I'm going to go.
Vanilla Ice. Horrible.
Absolutely
choice.
not. All right, I'm going to go Crooked I.
Okay, King Crooked.
King Crooked, now
Yes,
formerly
sir.
known as Crooked I, but he had a big influence on me.
sure.
4, I'm going to go Andre 3000.
3 stacks.
And 5, I will go. Can I give like a tie? Can I give a 5A, 5B?
I don't see why not.
All right, I'm gonna go Kendrick
I
and
have
Cole.
something like that. Yeah. See, I do that too.
Kendrick and Cole. That's my top.
That's a good list.
I respect that.
You give it.
Take it. Oh
Give
wait,
me
never
a-
mind.
Okay.
Take it away, Camille.
Here we go.
the wrap?
I'll be your hype man. No,
we
Khari
ending
could be your
this-
hype man.
I'm trying to go, Noah. We ending this thing while we still got the ring. This is the outro.
We gone.
So let's get up and go.
Out the door. Hey, you feel me?
Bars.
Wow. Get Camille in the
That's
studio.
it. Thank you. Here we go.